Hello and welcome to HughesRound. I'm the Hughes. This is the round. I'm still broadcasting from my parents' kitchen, so forgive me for any technical problems that we're having. I noticed last night on the playback that the whole video that I played of my adventures in Canada was streaming. It looked like it was streaming fine for me, but for everybody else in the known universe, it was streaming like 1 frame a second. So it was like I apologise. I apologise profusely. Anyway, a big hello to Pineapple Boy, who was there first, saying bonjour. L'actitude est la politesse du roi. Hello. Preciseness is the policy of kings. Maybe exactitude means being timely, being punctual. Maybe it means punctual. Hello, punctuality is the politesse of kings. Okay, I like that. I'm obviously not a king. I am a ging, though, so, you know. Carl's saying salut. Salut, my friend. Nick is saying bonjour. We've got Lee Korn saying tu, and Ford Oak saying Fiesgemath. I don't know what that means. Betty Biscuit saying salut, mon ami, mes amis. It's very un-French to smile, actually. Really? Is it? No, I don't think that. I've met lots of very smiley French people. Bonjour à tous. Afternoon. We're all talking French today. C'est bon. C'est très bon. Good afternoon. Punctuality is the courtesy of kings. Oh, thank you, Betty Biscuit, for my... I was trying to work out what politesse means because the only other time I've seen the word politesse, or heard the word politesse, is in the song Sympathy for the Devil by the Rolling Stones. True story. Buenas tardes. A todos. Todas. Afternoon, all. I've joined after Graham started. There's a surprise. Well, I could have gone on a bit earlier, but I thought I'd give you a chance to group yourselves before I inflicted myself upon you. Your messages seem to be fading out at the top. That's a thing that I only need when I've got a box there. Okay, so in the news today, obviously Olympics. Silly season. A couple of things that I really want to pick up on today. One of which is something that I should have spoken about more yesterday. It was about the visa rules, which is one of the things that I was going to chat about. And in fact, I gave the title of the show was something about freedom of visas or something like that. So basically, you've got the musicians' visa problem, which is that musicians were going to have to get a work visa to work in each of the 27 states of the EU. So you couldn't get like a visa to work in all of them. No, you had to get a visa to work in each one. But there are still problems even now with things like getting instruments over the border, and also with the carnets, which is allowing you to have passage from one country to another with a truck, I guess. So if you've got a stage bus, not a stage bus, a tour bus, and you're driving along and you've got the band on board and all their kit and equipment and stuff, I'm guessing that's going to be a bit of a problem in the future. I've just opened WhatsApp, and for some bizarre reason, it's come up in Spanish. I think it's because when I first set up WhatsApp, I was in Panama. Duke Vengeance said, even then I failed English 3 times before getting it right. I'm only 558 days into French Duolingo and I'm still rubbish. Nick, I think I got a B in my French GCSE and I'm still terrible at it. But yes, when it comes to the artists, these musicians being able to travel around Europe, we've got bureaucracy of each and every country. So we've got equipment, merchandising, and stuff like that, and these carnets, which are still going to be a problem. Yes, the visa for the musician has been sorted, and so we're one step of the way back to normality in that respect. But it's only for the musician, not necessarily for everybody in the crew. I think it's a small crew, and it is time limited. I think it's 3 months, but if you're a big band and you're planning to do a tour around Europe and play a lot of venues, I mean, there's 450 million potential punters to your gig, unless you're razor light or something, then no one will want to see you in their right mind. But, if you're popular. And the other thing about visas is the fact that from 2023, we're going to be part of, the ETIAS scheme, which is for every country that's not part of the EU. This is a scheme that we helped write when we were part of the EU. And it says that anyone who wants to come and visit Europe, the EU, must register before they go to the EU. They must register to show they're not a criminal, they're not a paedophile, they don't have any outstanding speeding tickets, etc., etc. Now, as about 1 in 10 British people have a criminal record, true statistic by the way, this is going to really mess up their holiday plans. This is why a lot of the Brexiteers, nearly all of whom are criminals, it's one of those things that just go hand in hand: being an idiot, being a racist, being a criminal, and being a Brexiteer, and being an anti-vaxxer. They just go hand in hand, whatever. It means that there's a good chance that the EU can turn around and say no when they apply for their, basically, visa waiver scheme. So America's had this for years. America brought in their visa waiver scheme in 2011, and from that point on, you had to, I think it was 2011, it might be in 2010. It might have been earlier than that. Do you know why? Because I entered America overland, and I didn't need to get an ESTA when I was going in overland. You only needed it when you were going in via air. And as I didn't go into America by air, but then I did need one when I turned up on a boat. I think it's if you're going overland. Yeah, if you're coming in from Canada or Mexico, you didn't need to get an ESTA, apparently. Although I found out later that you kind of did. Yeah, you if you were coming in on a ship or coming in on a plane, you needed to have an ESTA, electronic travel validation, or whatever it's called. Basically, it's permission to travel without a visa. But the thing is, the application to get your American ESTA, and they do it for Canada and they do it for Australia. This is nothing unusual. We still think Australia are busy mates. They still make you get an ETA, electronic travel authorization, before you get on the flight to Australia. Now, and as someone who's been to Australia about 12 times, I know what I'm talking about here, okay? This is one of my areas of expertise, okay? I'm not particularly great at dancing or singing, and I'm shite at football, but when it comes to talking about visas and the hoops that different countries make you jump through in order to get into those countries, I'm pretty much the world authority, okay? So if Caroline Malone wants to go on the Jeremy Vines show and talk a load of bollocks, I outrank her. I massively outrank her. In the same way that, I don't know, a Jedi outranks an Ewok. They just do. Anyway, look, the point is that the EU bringing in this rule, it's not against us. It's not being vindictive. It's not like, we're going to single Britain out because we don't have a deal on this. Every other country in the world doesn't have a deal on that particular thing. So Canada, Australia, New Zealand, America all have to do the same thing, which is to apply for an ESTA, an electronic travel authorization, in lieu of getting a visa. However, as I'm going to say, when I first went for an electronic travel authorization for America, when I was trying to get into Guam in 2012, in January 2012, I think it was, I was trying to get into, it would have been a bit later, April, maybe. Anyway, it was 2012. I was trying to get into Guam, and I got on my phone, and I went up to the top deck of the boat that I was on, and I tried to use my mobile data on my British SIM card in Guam so I could get myself an electronic visa, right? It was a disaster. I couldn't do it. But I did have to get one a bit later on that year. Now, the thing is, with that visa, it was very simple. It was my name. They wanted my passport number. I think I had to tick the same boxes. You remember when you flew into America and you had that stupid list of things that you had to tick off? And one of them was, are you coming to commit acts of terrorism? And you're like, no. I mean, the idea that you're gonna tick it and then commit an act of terrorism, and then they're gonna say, but you said you wouldn't. I mean, what? Like, the best one on there, though, was, are you coming to America to commit immoral acts? If you're flying into Vegas, baby, I think the answer might be yes. I'm very much committing an immoral act in the eyes of some. getting smashed, gambling, marrying someone, and getting Elvis to be the officiant. I don't know, right? What happens in Vegas stays in Vegas. But daft questions. Anyway, it was just tick boxes, right? And then 2 years later, I had to reapply for another one in like 2014, and because it only lasted 2 years, and the form at this point, although it was still only 15 quid or whatever it was, which is still, there were still actual visas that you get. For instance, my visa for Madagascar was free. I didn't have to pay anything for my visa for Madagascar. I just had to apply for it. Visa fee was waived. So my actual visa for actual Madagascar cost less, a lot less than my not really a visa, visitor's pass, essentially, port pass, whatever you want to call it, for America. But the website got bigger. There were more questions to ask in 2014, and this built up. And then in 2016, I remember I was back in Liverpool at the time, and I remember I was in the Egg Cafe, and I was sitting there, and they wanted to know all the countries I had been to in the preceding 10 years. All of them. And you couldn't just type them in. You couldn't just go Argentina, Uruguay, Paraguay, No, you had to open a box saying new country, couple of seconds, wait, boom, 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 new country comes up, type it in, press enter, and then it puts it into the form. And then you had to press new country, pops up. I had nearly 200 countries to put into that form. Okay, so I do all this, and then the questions have changed. They're not just about immoral acts that you might be going out to do something immoral. You might be going out to gamble. I'm coming to America to have an abortion. Yes, that's what I'm doing, because that's the easiest place to get one, I hear. Jesus Christ. So it was more. And one of the questions was, have you ever been to Syria, Iran, Iraq, or Sudan? And I was like, yeah, I have been to Sudan in the last 5 years. So at that time, the only one of those four that I'd been to in that time was Sudan, and I had passed through it because I had to, because it's kind of a little bit in the way of Ethiopia and Egypt. I needed to get from Ethiopia to Egypt, and Sudan's in the way, and I wasn't flying. Okay. So then I admit to this, and the previous 2 times that I'd gone in for an ESTA, I got a thumbs up straight away. This time I didn't get a thumbs up. And I was waiting, and I was waiting, and I was waiting, and I was waiting, and I was waiting. And it took 2 weeks, I think. And the reason why I needed an ESTA wasn't because I was, it wasn't because I was going to America. It was just because I was planning to come home from Panama in a few months' time, and basically stop off in America along the way. Just change planes. I say stop off. I wasn't going to go out the airport. I was literally going to get off one plane and get onto another plane. That was going to be my trip to America. And it took ages. It took like 2 weeks to come through. By that time, I was actually on my way. I was back in Panama, and I was on my way to the airport. I was on my way to the freaking airport, and I got a ping on my phone, and it said that your application's been rejected. Then a few months later, I'd been on the website, and it said you don't need an ESTA for crossing the border from Mexico or Canada. So I'm like, great, okay. So I arranged to meet up with my publisher, the great Jared Bendis, and he lives in Cleveland. And I said, well, listen, I can't fly into Cleveland, but what I can do is fly into Toronto, meet you at Niagara Falls, how romantic, and we can drive to Cleveland together. I'll stay at yours for a bit, and we'll finish off the book. We had things to sort out in the book that were a lot easier to do, meeting face to face. We didn't, in the end, do the book face to face. We ended up, we ended up doing it online, so whatever. But I was on my way home, so I thought, well, I'll stop off. This is December 2016. We'll stop off along the way in Toronto, a few days in America, back to Toronto, and then fly home via WOW Air, who went via Reykjavik, who were fantastic at the time, because it was only like it was like 170 quid for a flight from Canada home. I was like, yeah, I love that. Anyway, so I got this flight, and I'm heading towards the. Oh no, hang on. No, I'm getting ahead of myself. I am getting ahead of myself. It wasn't that trip. So the original trip was earlier in the year when I was supposed to be flying back home via America. This is right. And I ended up having to cancel my flight. I lost all my money on it because it was an economy flight. And, you know, if you're rich, you can get one of those flights that you get your money back if you change your mind or something happens. Whereas if you're not rich, you lose all your money. Another regressive tax on people who aren't filthy, stinking rich. But, you know, I'm not going to go on about that right now. So I had to get a different flight over to the UK via Amsterdam. Okay, so that was earlier in the year. Later in the year, in the December, I decided to try and get over the border via Canada because it said on the website you don't need an ESTA. I said, well, I can't get an ESTA, so because I've been to Sudan, so I'm going to come across the border. I'm met by Jared. It was about like 9 o'clock or something. Then he met me. He'd driven over from Cleveland. We got in his car, drove over the Rainbow Bridge. And the Canadians stamped me out, got to the American side, and they were not happy. And they took us in for questioning, maybe 2-3 hours. They scanned my retina. They wanted the code for my phone so they could read everything on my phone. They wanted my fingerprints recording, everything. Very, very much in the line of, you know, when people complain about infringements of their freedom. This was going a bit further than making you wear a fucking mask in B&Q. Okay, this is another fucking level. They wanted access to my phone and all my private messages. I wouldn't give them that, and I think that put their backs up, and as a result of that, they denied me entry to the United States, and on top of that, I now have a lifetime ban from getting an ESTA. If I want to go to America, or even if I want to pass through America on the way somewhere else, I have to go to London. It's £130 on the train from Durham to London. I have to go to London. I have to have a meeting, which is generally speaking right in the morning, usually about like 7:30 in the morning in the American embassy. So in order to get there in time, I would have to go down the day before and spend the night in London. Don't know if you know this, but London's one of the most expensive cities in the world, but whatever. So I had to find somewhere to stay in London. I'll probably just sleep on the mate's floor, to be honest with you. It's me. And I'll probably get the megabus down, to be honest with you, but that's just me. Right, so then you get a visa. It's £150. £150 fucking pounds, even just to change planes. To change planes in America. Not to visit. Don't want to come and stay. I hate America now. I mean, America's, in the last 5 years, it's a bit like the UK, really. It's lost a lot of its appeal. It's lost a lot of its luster. A lot of its sheen has tarnished, as far as I'm concerned. But if I did want to do that, that's what I'd have to do. Now, this is the path that lies ahead for these dickhead Brexiteers. And this is why they're freaking out about it and saying the EU's punishing us. They're punishing us by doing this. Because that application, it's not about the £6. It's about asking who you are and what you've done. And every one of those crackhead fucking Brexiteer bastards who voted to take away your children's freedoms, their birthrights, literally taking away their freedoms that were not taken from Nigel Farage's children because he made damn sure that they got a EU passport. So they can still live and work in Europe without asking permission. They can still visit Europe the EU, without asking permission. You can't. Your children can't. They will have to forevermore ask permission to go to, with the exception of Ireland, because that's part of the common travel area, which is a treaty that predates the EU by many decades. So if you want to go to France, you want to go to Spain, you're going to have to ask permission. And like I say, it's not about the money. It's only £6. I mean, even to me, that's not much. What it's about is the fact that there's going to be shitloads of people in this stupid fucking country who might, like me, end up getting banned for life because of some bureaucratic infringement. And if that happens, they'll have to get a visa. And that costs a fortune. So, not only have the Brexiteers destroyed our economy and our culture and our future, they've also destroyed our holidays. Well, at least holidays for a lot of people, because going further afield than Europe is obviously hideously expensive, unless you do it on buses, which I I'd recommend, because I did it, but I wouldn't force it on anyone, because if you've only got 2 weeks off a year, you don't want to spend a week and a half of that on a freaking bus. So yeah, Pineapple Boy says, you can sleep on my sofa anytime. Great. Thank you very much, Pineapple Boy. Brilliant. Thank you. Lee Corn, I should tell you that when before Catherine and I got together, she offered her couch for me to sleep on while I was in Durham giving a talk, and basically everything transpired from there, and I haven't left. So, well, I'm in Liverpool at the moment, but you know what I mean. So just be careful when you invite me to crash on your couch. You never know what might happen. Lee Corn says there was a story about a famous British guy who answered, not main aim. He had a hard time at the airport. Oh, they had questions about whether you'd been a member of the Communist Party or whether your visit was over to overthrow the US government. Yeah, they haven't got much of a sense of humour. And look, the worst passport people in the world are America and Australia. Weirdly enough, though, when I came to Australia on a cargo ship, they were lovely. They were absolutely lovely. The friendliest people. They sat down, had a cup of tea. It was like going into Iraq. Like when I went to Iraq, this is my experience going into Iraq. I got a visa on the border. The guy brought me into his office. I said, do you want to sit down? He made me a cup of tea. I had the same experience in Iran. I got a cup of tea on the border, and he sat me down and he had a map of Iran. And he said, okay, welcome to Iran. Can I ask why you want to come? And I said, I'm visiting every country in the world. I have somewhere to stay in Suleimania. And, here's the details and everything. And I'll just be staying for a few days. I want to see Kurdistan. And then I'll be heading back over the border. And he said, that sounds great. Okay, here's the map. You are allowed to go anywhere in Kurdistan, which is the north, the breakaway sort of north, the autonomous area in the north of Iraq. So you can go anywhere here, but don't go to Kirkuk. Don't go to Mosul. Don't go to Baghdad. If you go there, we can't stop you. There's checkpoints on the road and stuff, but we can't stop you. But if we catch you, we will put you in jail. If they catch you, they will put you on YouTube. Okay, do you understand? And he was like very much, and it wasn't like he was having a go. He was just really seemed very concerned for my safety. And I said, yeah, completely understand. I know what you mean. I know what you're getting at. And he said, okay, we had a little bit of a chat and we finished our tea. When I go to America, it is just like this. What the fuck do you want? I'd like to come to your country and visit your Disneylands and give you money that I've earned in another country. I want to give that to your economy. I want to help pay for your future dental care and your children's health care and your children's education and all that. I'm going to bring money from another country and I'm going to give it to your country. I'm going to spend it in your country. Why the fuck would you want to do that? Same attitude in Australia. Why the hell would you want to come here? And the thing is, I don't think a lot of passport, border control people get, right? They are the intro for everybody to their country. If they're like, the front man or front woman of that particular country. If they are horrible to everyone who comes to that country, that is the first impression that most people will get. I mean, obviously people see Americans on TV all the time, but if you're going to a country that you don't know anyone from and isn't particularly famous like America, that might be the first person from that country you've ever met. And if they are a grumpy bastard, that is going to colour your opinion of that country forever. And I don't know if they know what they're doing, because I guess the power's gone to the little head, hasn't it? Power goes to their simple little minds, it turns them crazy. But they don't seem to understand the damage they're doing by behaving in this way, by behaving like bloody arseholes to everyone who wants to come visit the country with the best of intentions. I mean, obviously, if you are, I don't know, a relative of Osama bin Laden, and there's a chance that you might want to come to America to cause mischief, then, sure, give them the third degree. I don't mind, if there's a reason to. If you've got you're thinking, oh, well, this person might not be the kind of caliber of person we want in our country. But up to this point, if we wanted to go to the EU, any of us wants to go to the EU, any of the countries of the EU, we could. And now we can't. There's been a barrier put in the way. And this is all Brexit is. It is putting up barrier after barrier after barrier for trade, for culture, for the economy, for human dignity, for our rights, for our freedom of freedom of movement, and of freedom to live and work and retire and marry in other countries. These bastards, these absolute cockhounds who have never left their fucking village, these old twats, millionaires who's sitting on this wealth in a massive house with a huge garden that they've been tending for the last 40 years because they got an early retirement on full wages. I mean, could you imagine that now? No one's going to get that. You got final salary pension. Yeah, mate. Used to have them in the Stone Age, not anymore. So that's why it's one of the many reasons why I rage about Brexit. But for someone who's travelled to every country in the world, it really stings. It really pisses me off. It burns my piss. And this is what they want. This is what the Brexiteers want. They want to upset me. They want to upset you. Not personally, just us in general. People who care about the world, people who want to make the world a better place, people who want to travel the world, people who may want to, who might like the idea of falling in love with someone from another country without it being a financial impediment because you've got to earn a certain amount of money each year in order to keep that person in the country with you, even if you're married and you have children together. That's the rules at the moment in the UK. Hostile environments. Tell me about it. I've got a €5 super chat there from Euros. I wonder if Scotland is going to be a common travel area. I'm very sure it will be. When Scotland gets its independence, I do think it will still be part of the same common travel area with Ireland as well. I think that's going to happen. It's the ideology they believe in, to be fair, that being money can buy you anything, and if you're poor, tough luck. The people bought the lies. The people that bought the lies probably aren't in that camp, though. Yeah. David Juardo is pumping up the cushions on the couch as we speak. Indeed. Asperger says, I enjoyed to use the world in Canada last night. I hope to travel there hope to visit there when travel becomes easier again. Yeah, it made me really want to go over there. And I think Pineapple Boy pointed out, he went, I thought it's going to be a happy one because we started talking about the residential homes. But I want these shows not to be this kind of... I don't want them to be depressing, but at the same time, I don't want them to be an advert for from the tourist boards of Australia or New Zealand or Canada. I want to say, look, there are problems. Like everywhere in the world has problems because we've got to be realistic about this. And we've got to make sure that people know stuff. I mean, Janet last night was talking to me. We chatted before the show and she said she really wanted to talk about this issue because she didn't know how much it had been covered in other countries. I said, well, it has been on the news over here, but if you want to elaborate on what went down in those residential schools, please, let's talk about that. Asperger says, completely agree. The border staff are effectively frontline ambassadors for their country. Yeah, and Asperger's. I've also said before that when you get your first UK passport as an adult, you should be taken aside to a side room. And I have in my head this oak panelled room with 2 leather wing-back chairs and a lovely oak walnut coffee table between you. And on the table is your passport. And the person giving you the passport pushes it towards you, and as you go to grab it, they pull it away. And they say, listen, dickhead, when you leave this country with this passport and go to somebody else's land, you become a de facto ambassador for this country. Don't be a dick. There you go, here's your passport. That's what I would do. But then I'm a bit like that. I always thought that if I had a daughter and she brought her first boyfriend home, the first thing I'd do is just punch him. And he'd be like, oh, what was that for? And I said, that's for doing nothing. Now we know where we stand. Oh, I don't have daughters of my own, so, it's probably going to be less of an issue in going forward. That was my plan, very much. Carl Virgil says, sounds like that's a joke, but people are going to think I'm serious about that. Panel Voice says, COVID is hiding just how popular the UK still is to EU holidaymakers. Carl Birchall says, sounds like a culture and probably a training issue taught to distrust anyone and to hell with an income, and I might think of them, indeed. When we first arrived in New Zealand, it was really late and our kid was exhausted. One of the border officials helped us carry our bags to the taxi. Great first impression of a country. That's from Alan A. Alan, oh my God, yes, absolutely. The difference between my entries to New Zealand and my entries to Australia oh my God, they couldn't have been more extreme from one to the other. It was extreme hostility in America. What the hell are you doing here? Well, my girlfriend's Australian, and your girlfriend. All right, so you're planning to stay here, are you? You're planning to settle down and marry and have children here, are you? Is that your plan? No. You can't work. I'm not. Why would I? I don't want. Have you seen the state of me? I've got a backpack. Look, I've got an onward ticket to South America. What? Why would I get that if I was? Anyway, but then I got to New Zealand and everyone was lovely. They were really nice. Do you know the last thing you need after 24 hours on a freaking plane is 20 questions when you arrive? Because you're invariably suddenly you put into this high intense situation, like Line of Duty, where they had the bit and they press the tape and it makes the buzzing noise and it's all really tense. Yeah. I don't want that. Don't need that in my life after 24 hours on a plane. My time zones are all over the place. I've moved 9 or 11 time zones into the future. It's like, what? I don't know where I am. I don't know what I am. I don't know when I am. Go on, ask me a bunch of questions. I wouldn't be able to tell you the capital of bloody France. I'd be like, I don't know. But no, you've got to think on your feet. Quick, answer the question. Don't make the mistake or you'll be sent home. And I have friends, I know people who have been sent home from Australia because they didn't answer the questions correctly on their arrival. And that's what they can do. That's the power of other countries. And we had the power to override that. We had the power to say, you can't tell me not to come into this country. We had the power not to ask anyone's permission. We could go to France, or Belgium, or Holland, or the Netherlands. Sorry, that is Holland. Luxembourg, or Germany, or Czechia, or Slovenia, or Slovakia, or Poland, or Estonia, Latvia, Lithuania, or Denmark, or Norway, even because it was part of the Schengen agreement. You could go to Switzerland. You could go to Sweden. You could go to Finland, Spain, Portugal, Malta, Italy, San Marino, Vatican City, Andorra, Monaco, Croatia, Bulgaria, Romania, Greece, Cyprus. We didn't have to ask anyone's permission. We didn't ask if it was okay. We could just fucking turn up. We had an access all areas pass to the richest and most beautiful continent in the world. And we burnt it. And now we are whinging about having to buy a ticket like every other punter. We didn't want that access all areas pass. Why not? Because it meant that people from other countries had a AAA pass to come here as well. We didn't want them because they popped out their bloody mothers in a coordinate, in a point of longitude and latitude that isn't as good as my point of longitude and latitude. We live in a world where these dickheads in Kent think that the people born 30 miles away in Calais are more alien to them than somebody born hundreds of miles away at the other end of the country, up in, I don't know, John O'Groats. No, they're our countrymen. They're our countrymen. Not those people that live next door to us. How dare they? And now we're seeing refugees coming over in record numbers. To anyone's surprise, we used to have a deal with France that if we caught someone crossing the channel, we could send them back to France. Can't do that anymore because we left the EU. So now thousands of refugees are coming into the country. And I say good. Well done. Well done. All the Brexiteers, you got what you wanted. This is your Brexit reality. And I honestly, the shit that's going on in the world right now, I don't mind a few refugees coming to this country. And it really is a handful. When you look at how many refugees are in Turkey, when you have a look at how many refugees are in Papua New Guinea, it is a trifle. It's not very many at all. And although people like Nigel Farage will whinge about waves of refugees, despite the fact that his surname gives away the fact that his ancestors were once Huguenot refugees. Maybe we should have said no to them. But when you wonder what the hell was going on in Britain when we had the Kindertransporter, which was great because it got the Jewish kids out of Germany, out of Austria. But he didn't take their parents. That's because the British government, the British people, didn't want to take Jews. Oh, we'll take the children. So they ripped children from their mothers so their mothers could go to an extermination camp and be murdered by the state in which they lived. We're the good guys, remember? And if I bring this up, I'm accused of hating Britain. If I bring up the times we've been a twat in the past, I'm accused of hating Britain. I'm not doing it because I hate Britain, although my patience is wearing thin. I'm doing it so we don't do it again. You see, because if you think that you've always been the good guy, you've always been the hero, and then you start doing horrible things, you're not going to look at it and go, oh, I'm doing a horrible thing here. You won't realise. But those who don't learn from the past are condemned to repeat it. And I don't want to repeat that shit. Ever. No one should. The Hollands are in the Netherlands. Well, yes, they are. Technically, it's a part of the Netherlands, isn't it? But we do call the Netherlands Holland as a shorthand. Percolatory, I'm honestly glad the EU allowed month-long visa-free tours for UK bands. We already had Swayed in the Darkness here last week. Fantastic. Carl Birchall says, welcome to the UK, particularly England, where the class system is very much alive and kicking. Oh, my God, it is. It so is. I watched, well, I didn't watch, but I was... had the TV on last night, and I had it on because I was watching Bob Ross doing painting in the background while I was doing something else, because it is the most relaxing thing in the world. You don't need to smoke weed. I don't think people do, but you don't need to smoke weed while watching Bob Ross. But if you got nothing better to do, I think it's about 7:30 most weeknights on BBC Four, and I just left BBC Four. I wasn't really watching it, and on came a show about a terribly posh woman. She was terribly posh. She kept bees. She wants to make a TV show about her keeping bees. I think it was an hour-long TV show. I think it might have actually been a fucking series. And it was about a woman who kept bees in her back garden. And I'd say to me, Mum, how the hell? So I look her up on the internet, don't I? Of course she went to a private school. She turned up to where you get an agent from, the agent farm. And she said, I'd like an agent, please. And they said, oh, well, you can't have an agent. We're all full. And she said, oh, I went to private school. Oh, here you go. And they fall over themselves to get you an agent. And then that agent went to the BBC and said, excuse me, I've got someone from a private school here. They want to make a TV show with you. Oh, what's the TV show about? Is it going to be something incredibly exciting, like trying to visit every country in the world without flying? No, it's going to be about the fact she keeps bees in her back garden. Oh, okay, yes. Here's £500,000. Please make that show. So yeah. There's a few things keeping me in the UK at the moment, but to be honest with you, I find it really funny that the only time I've managed to get myself an agent or publishing deal or a production company that's interested in doing something with me, it's been Australian or it's been American. Never been British. Because, obviously I'm probably not good enough. But honestly, my ideas for TV shows are not, I'm going to keep some bees in the back garden and go, oh, I got bees. Yeah, I get stung. Posh lady goes to India. Oh, it's lovely, isn't it? Oh. But yeah, that's what the churn is on most of the TV stations we've got. Anyway, the point was why I called this show One Rule for Them was because I wanted to talk about Alok Sharma. What a charmer. See what I did there? This guy, he has flown in the last 6 months. 7 months, sorry. Don't want to do his guy wrong. In the last 7 months, he's flown to 30 countries. Which, on one hand, is quite impressive for someone who's, traveled a lot. I think, 30 countries in 7 months, that's pretty good going. I did about 100 countries in 7 months. But, this isn't about me, and I didn't fly. He's the president of the COP, the Committee of Parties 26, which is going to be held later this year in Glasgow. And, yes, he's taken flights to 30 countries in 7 months, some of which are on the red list. He should have isolated. He didn't fucking isolate. Will the last Conservative who isn't a massive cunt please stand up? Come on. Oh, no one's standing up. It must be that they're all a bunch of massive. What I just said. Yuri Kaluda, bees also have a big old queen that throws out privileged spawn. Well, I was on TikTok the other day and there was a beekeeper just doing little. There was a young woman in America, I think, and she was just telling you how keeping bee. There was a situation of bees had taken nest in this parasol and she'd been sent in to get rid of them, and it was just like a little TikTok video, and it was great. It was entertaining. It was only like 2.5 minutes long, and I learned about how to, if you want to get rid of bees, this is how you do it. She said, oh, they're looking for somewhere new to live, so you have to give them somewhere nice, and so what you got to do, you got to find the queen, and this is how you find the queen, and this is how you capture her, and then you put her in, and hopefully all the other bees will go to where the queen is because she'll stay there and think that's a nice place to stay. It was only like 2.5 minutes long, and I thought, bloody hell, if she had the production values of the BBC, she could have made a fantastic show about that, and it would have been fascinating. It wouldn't just be one of these shows that annoys the crap out of me. And Alan Davis, who Jonathan Creek's annoying. He's kind of annoying. I don't mind him so much. He used to really irritate me. He irritates me a little less these days on QI, because obviously he's there as the funny sort of foil who says the wrong thing or whatever. He's kind of like the Father Dougal of QI. He did a couple of episodes of Horizon. Now, I grew up with Horizon. It was one of my favourite TV shows, along with Tomorrow's World, QED, Equinox. And do you remember these shows? Yeah? Got rid of them all. I don't want to learn anything. God damn it. Why would you want a documentary? And Horizon was the one that kept on going. And Horizon was very cleverly written. And as a scriptwriter myself, looking at how they put their episodes together, it was really, really good, because they unfolded like a murder mystery. They must have sat down and gone, here's the problem that we need to solve. Here's the story of how it got solved. And here's the solution. And it's a bit like watching an episode of Columbo. You know who did the murder, but now you've got to watch as Columbo susses out who did the murder, and it's entertaining. It's really good, and he did that in a science framework, and that was great. And then they had Alan Davis on, and what did he do? He turned up and he went, "I don't know what time is. Can you explain to me what time is, please?" And then the scientists had to sit down with this moron and tell him what time was. And it was really patronising and really shit. Imagine the difference between National Geographic or like a proper science magazine versus Focus, the BBC magazine, which is just really ABC, kind of very simplified science, which pisses me off because I don't read them. I don't read Focus. I used to be a subscriber to National Geographic. I'm not at the moment just because it's so expensive. And also, didn't Rupert Murdoch take it over? I think it's been taken over by Disney now. I don't know what the ownership at the moment, but yeah, the when people talk about the dumbing down of television, I don't think about Love Island or Big Brother or X Factor, because I think that's what they are. They're there, and I don't have a problem with them. They fill a particular void on the television. Same as soap operas. My only soap opera that I have a problem with is EastEnders, because it costs the BBC millions and millions of pounds to make every year and doesn't sell any fucking soap. And it doesn't sell to other territories around the world in a way that would actually makes money for the BBC. So the EastEnders is a black hole for the BBC. Hollyoaks, EastEnders, Coronation Street, Emmerdale, they are on commercial stations which have adverts. It makes sense. You want a show that loads of people are going to watch. Having EastEnders on the BBC like every freaking day is just an excuse to burn license payers' money. It just pisses me off. No, I don't have a problem with these things existing, okay, in general. The daft shows. I don't think that's the problem. When you take something that is you're not going to watch it unless you have an active interest in science, you might not have a qualification in science. God knows I don't have any qualifications in science beyond my GCSEs. But you've got the foundation. You don't need it explaining to you like you're a 2-year-old, taking one of those shows and making it sort of lowest common denominator. Let's just, and it pisses me off. And this is one of the big things why it pisses me off. Top Gear, which was, in its heyday, was the most exported TV show for the BBC. It made the BBC millions every year, which was great because they're making money. They can't make money out of advertising, but what they can make money out of is selling their shows to other countries around the world. Okay, so the BBC took a cut. Every time it was shown in Saudi Arabia, every time it was shown in Botswana, every time it was shown in Argentina, they got a cut. So that's good because that goes back into the BBC and it means our license fee doesn't have to go up so much, and we can make all the good stuff. We can make the natural history stuff, which is fantastic. But on Top Gear, when they were talking about engines, which they sometimes did, it was absolute gobbledygook to most people. Now, this was an accessible TV show. This wasn't a TV show that you had to be into cars to watch and enjoy. But at the same time, when they were talking to experts about cars or about motor racing, engines, whatever, they didn't dumb it down. They just assumed that you knew enough to get started. Horizon being the last bastion of science TV, pretty much apart from Bang Goes the Theory on the radio. It's like the way that they've gone about it by going from a really great format that they used to have. And I'm not saying it because I personally enjoyed it. It was a great format. Objectively, it was a great format. To Alan Davis asking daft questions. They did at least 2 of these episodes. They might have done more. I don't know. I turned it off. I couldn't watch it anymore. It was just like Father Dougal, then science. I'm like, why is this on Horizon? You know, make a kids' TV show. Put it on CBBS. I don't care. Put it on GBBS if you like. But yeah, that's where I get agitated about people saying dumbing down. They're dumbing down. I think, well, yeah, they are. But maybe not in the way that you think. People are moving away from linear TV with all the streaming services. You don't need anything you're not able to fast forward. That's very true. Carl Haggerty says, what about the plane full of UL people traveling to Mexico yesterday, only to find out mid-flight that Mexico put them on the red list? They're scrambling to find flights home. Well, Costa Rica's just been put on the red list as well, so that's going to cause trouble for Marcus and I. But it's our red list, so if it's off the red list, by the time we get back in October, we'll be all right. But if it's still on the red list, we have to isolate. Well, he won't, because he's going back to France, so I don't know what the French's red list is. But yeah, problem. Chobai says, TV has been dumbing down for decades. The reason I don't have a telly, I can find better content on YouTube. Also seen the decline in Radio 4. Yeah, I borrowed my mum's car last year, and I don't really listen to radio. I don't listen to radio in the car. I generally have Amazon streaming music, because I'm a music Nazi. Look, if I hear music that I don't like, it puts me in a bad mood for the day. All right, that's just me. All right, so I like to be able to control what music comes on the stereo, because I know that if Deep Blue Something's Breakfast at Tiffany's comes anywhere near me, that's it. I'm in a foul mood for the rest of the decade. And so yeah, and driving and then adverts coming on, it's quite, annoying. I try not to drive and I'm listening to like James O'Brien or something, because I'm constantly hitting the mute button when the breakfast with Nick Ferrari advert comes on. I don't want to hear that fucking pig's voice, or I don't want to hear adverts for shite and National Lottery and whatever. But I got into my mum's car, and she had it set so Radio 4 came up, and it was the Today Show. It must have been early in the morning. And they were talking about climate change. This is last year. This is 2020. They're talking about climate change. I think it was in context with the fires in Australia. And they had someone on there that didn't believe in climate change. What the fuck? Why are they still giving these cockheads a platform? Why? They're liars. They're charlatans. And they're getting people killed. Why are they still... There shouldn't be any discussion on whether climate change is happening. It is happening. It's our fault. It's happened because we've taken carbon out the ground, we've put it on the ground, we set it on fire, and then the gases that are created when you burn that carbon, mostly carbon dioxide, that's the problematic one, has gone into the atmosphere. Where else do you think it's going to go? And now we're at 415 parts per million of CO2 in the atmosphere. If you don't believe that, feel free to send up a weather balloon with a little bit of equipment, a little instrument to monitor how much CO2 is in the atmosphere. Go and check it out for yourself. Or you can just watch the news and see Greece burn, or see Canada burn, or see America, California burn, or see Australia burn. I mean, or Germany flood, or London flood. I mean, look, we could go on. But why are they? The only debate that is left to have is how soon can we act? Because Greta Thunberg's right. We need to be looking at this like a war footing. We need to be like, this is an existential threat to everything that we know and love. And if it was aliens doing it, we would be fighting them in spaceships. If it was another country doing this to us, we would declare war on that country, wouldn't we? Wouldn't we? If another country was causing our country to flood, or our country to go on fire, they were purposely setting fire to our country, we would be up in arms, wouldn't we? But we're not. Because we've been told for the last 30 years that there's some debate to be had. Because every time there's a discussion about climate change, the BBC and other broadcasters feel the need to get some absolute unqualified cockhead. Well, they're quite qualified in being a cockhead, but, unqualified to talk about what they're talking about. Absolute dickhead, and get them on. Get them on the show. Go on, let's get this idiot on the show. Let's see what this idiot thinks. And that, to me, is everything that's wrong with the BBC at the moment. And unfortunately, they're losing people like me who 10 years ago, even though the BBC, personally, I have my own beef with them because they didn't pay me for my TV show that I made them. You're welcome. But I'm sure the producers paid off their mortgages and that was great for them. But I would have laid down in the street in front of a fucking bulldozer for the BBC 10 years ago. Now, I'm like, and that's a shame. And it's a shame that the BBC are being led by the BBC News Department, which is run by a bunch of Tory cronies. And it makes us move away, when we start thinking about the BBC, from the good stuff that they do, the great comedies, the great natural history shows with David Attenborough. The BBC's could be a force for real good in the country and the world. But the last few years, it's made a mockery of that. And it's alienated the people who would support them in defence of the people who would happily see the BBC burn down. The people who have always hated the BBC. They're trying to placate them. It's the same mistake that the Labour Party are making in thinking they can get Brexiteers on their side. If you're a Brexiteer, you're a knobhead. That's just true, right? You're also probably racist. That's just true. You also don't give a shit about anyone but yourself. You're not going to vote for a party that espouses socialist ideals. Like, I don't know, not being a racist, not being a dickhead, and actually thinking about the welfare of other people and not just yourself. Aren't you? So the BBC chasing these dickheads and trying to placate them, and the Labour Party trying to placate these dickheads. Stop it. Just stop it. You don't need to. 60% of the population is pretty decent, actually. I know 10% of them voted for Brexit, but, they were hoodwinked. But only 40% of this population, by and large, ever vote Conservative. Okay? 40%. That means 60% don't. And just go for the 60%. We're in the majority. Go for the nice people. Target that demographic. And you know what? Those people will fight for you. They'll stand up for you when the government want to shut you down and want to remove your impartiality. Want to fuck up the licence fee. They'll stand up for you. If you keep knocking them down, they won't. And that's how I feel about the BBC and the Labour Party at the moment. Hey up, late on Braid, says Jeremy Goff. Well, I'm here. Is there another Hegarty on here? What? Asperger's Europe, another big climate problem is the shutdown of the circulation. I'm going to say this: the thermohaline production circulation in the ocean. I probably said that completely wrong. I'm very sorry. It's this mechanism via the Gulf Stream which keeps the UK warmer than Labrador on the same latitude. Yes, Asperger's Europe, and what else is on the same latitude as the UK? Lake Baikal. Lake Baikal in Siberia. Okay, same line of latitude. We should be under 40 foot of ice in the winters, and we're not, because of the Gulf Stream keeping us warm. And that Gulf Stream's not going to keep going round, because it needs cold water coming out of Greenland to keep going round. It's not going to keep going round. The cold water's not coming out of Greenland because it's all melted. Indeed. But that's something that the global warming idiots, the people who don't think it's real, they say, oh, but it was cold the other day. How can global warming be a thing? It's like, this is why they called it climate change. And then, to placate the idiots, and then the idiots just turn around and go, well, you changed the name now. You're calling it climate change. It used to be global. I'm so confused. Don't placate the idiots. We've got to stop organising the needs of the village around the needs of the wants of the village idiot, the desires of the village idiot, the moronic mumblings of the drunk, stupid, inbred village idiot. We don't just don't listen to them. Just Leave them be. Let them sit on a stone wall with a bit of straw in their teeth and let them laugh so much they fall off the fucking wall. Okay, just lead them to it. Stop trying to placate them. Stop trying to get them on board. You want to get people on board? Get reasonable people on board. Get young people who normally don't have time for politics or getting involved in this kind of stuff. Get them on board. You're going to have a lot more for every one older person who's stuck in their way and a bit racist that you can actually convert to being a centralist, a socialist, someone who believes Brexit's a bad idea. You could have converted 100 young people, not converted them, empowered those young people to use their vote and to use their voice more effectively. 100 to 1. That's the statistic. That's the stat of our age. And the idea that we need to go around and we need to just bow and grovel in front of morons is degrading. It's humiliating. And I will not do it. I will not do it. And go fuck themselves. In other news, S20 is now on B4. Not quite getting that one. Cameron destroyed the BBC when he installed his cronies back in 2010. It was a long-term project to create a right-wing propaganda platform, or at least one that won't criticise them. Yeah, it's very true. Very true. Unfortunately, the idiots seem to be the vocal majority and easier to influence, indeed. That's very true. My dad watches the conspiracy theory channels on TV where Bigfoot exists and aliens built the pyramids. Really, as someone who's been to dozens, if not maybe hundreds of UNESCO World Heritage sites around the world, really pisses me off when people say that aliens built them, because they're only saying that because they were built by people who weren't white. There's an underlying air of racism in that attitude. You know, how could people who are black create such an amazing thing? It must have been aliens. Aliens must have done it for them. How could people who are brown create such an amazing thing? Well, I'll tell you what. You see the Taj Mahal? It's 500 years old, right? It's the most beautiful building in the world. It's a teardrop on the cheek of eternity. It is seriously the most beautiful building in the world. It ruined architecture for me, because after seeing the Taj Mahal close up and going, oh my God, this is insane. Every other building in the world, I just thought, well, they didn't try very hard with that, did they? I mean, don't get me wrong. I still think some older buildings are beautiful and some are magnificent. But, you know, compared with the Taj Mahal, come a very distant second. And was Taj Mahal built by white people? Was it? Fuck. It was built by Muslims. End of. Right. I said during the referendum campaign that the BBC won't survive Brexit. I stand by it. Yeah, that's probably going to happen. So just to finish off on Alex Sharma, because I'm going to wrap up soon. Yes, the government responsible for vital UN climate talks has been accused of undermining environmental efforts and failing to set an example after reports that he has flown to 30 countries in the past 7 months. Imagine me in that role. Me. Okay? I'm not a massive greenie. I'm not someone who's camped up a tree to stop a road from being built. But I have been to every country in the world without flying. And that without flying is the important bit. Because it wasn't just about getting a Guinness World Record and, you know, raising money for charity and making a TV show, and because I thought it was fun, would be fun. I wanted to prove it could be done. I wanted to prove that you could actually go anywhere you want in the world without having to take a plane. Yes, it's more difficult. Yes, it's more time consuming. It's not necessarily more expensive, by the way. It is maybe in Europe, but in most countries around the world, public transport is pretty bloody cheap if you're prepared to, you know, slum it. But it was possible, and that's what I wanted to prove, and I did prove that. Now, if I was in that position, they wouldn't have a fucking leg to stand on and call me a hypocrite. Okay, go on, off you go. Well, he's flown to places before. Yeah, I've flown to places before, only because there's literally no alternative at the moment. But I haven't taken the piss by flying to, 30 countries in 7 months during a pandemic, and not isolated at all on the way home, even when I've come back from a red list country. Yeah, I wouldn't do that. I wouldn't be a massive hypocrite, and that's why I wouldn't make a very good conservative politician. Also, I paid attention in school. It's another reason I wouldn't make a very good politician or a very good conservative voter, to be honest with you. Taj Mahal didn't make Graham a fan of grey boxes made of concrete elements. Fancy that. Yes, Yoni. I was like, if we can do this, then surely we can do something better than what looks like a German U-boat station built very quickly because there was a fucking war on and all they had was shit and concrete to build it with. Aliens built the pyramids and then not the highly advanced civilization of the Egyptian dynasties. That's advancements were mostly removed from history. Yeah. Aliens definitely designed St. John's Tower in Liverpool. No human could think of such a monstrosity. It's pretty bad, isn't it? Should explain St. John's Beacon. It was designed to be the chimney of the new shopping centre. So in the 1960s, they built these shopping precincts in all the major cities in the UK. And they all looked like nuclear bunkers. They all had no windows. They all just looked shite. All about the car. Keep talking about this. When Ford Prefect comes to Earth, he calls himself Ford Prefect and tries to shake hands with the car because he assumes that the cars are the dominant life form on Earth. Because he looks at the design of our cities and thinks, well, it looks like the cars are in charge here. I mean, it's a bit of a throwaway joke in The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, but it's a bloody good point. Why are we designing cities around the needs of cars? Not of humans, of cars. And that's what we did in the 60s and 70s. So St. John's is this horrific piece of shit that they've had to actually put a big screen around. They've actually like cordon it off from the eye line of people coming out of Lime Street Station in Liverpool. Because when you come out of Lime Street Station, you're confronted with the magnificent St. George's Hall. And then to the right, you've got the old Northwestern Hotel, which is now, it was student digs for a bit. Now it's going to be a boutique hotel or something. I don't know, but it's a beautiful building. Over the way, you've got Wellington's column, and then you've got the County Court building, you've got the Walk of Art Gallery, you've got the magnificent museum, you've got the magnificent library as well. And then on that side, you've got this horrific 1960s shopping centre, and it's got this big chimney that comes out the top, and it's got like a crow's nest at the top of the chimney. And they thought this was a good idea at the time because we couldn't afford to build a proper skyscraper. So we looked at the other countries around the world and went, what are you doing? And some of them, like Auckland and Toronto, said, well, we're going to have or Berlin, we're going to have a golf ball on a stick. That'll be great. And people can go up there and they can see the views while they eat. Unfortunately, they built this when Liverpool was in terminal decline. So the restaurant lasted a few years. It had a fire. Which wasn't good. And then it reopened as a Blake 7 theme restaurant. I'm not making this up. In the early 80s, I think. And then it closed down. And so for all of my childhood, until I was a teenager, until I was about leaving school, the building was derelict. Much like Centrepoint off Tottenham Court Road in London, which stood derelict for many, many years. Disgusting building in the middle of London. Designed by Goldfinger, an architect called Goldfinger, who Ian Fleming hated so much he named a Bond villain after him. But yeah, they built this restaurant, and it's only good, really. It's only used as advertising space because obviously it dominates the city. So you have a big advert at the top saying Radio City, who own it now. They don't need to broadcast from there. It's not necessary. I mean, it's great for putting aerials on, I suppose, but 440 foot of nonsense. So it's a chimney. And people go, it's really important that Liverpool skyline has this thing. And I'm like, really? Is it? We just lost our UNESCO World Heritage status. I don't think they gave us it because we had a fucking tower restaurant like Berlin and Toronto and Auckland and other cities around the world where you could have picked up their tower restaurant and put it in Liverpool or take... Indeed. Anyway, sounds like Graham needs to watch some of Not Just Bikes videos. I don't know what that is, but it sounds good. Ernie Burns, the Taj Mahal does great poppadoms. Didn't realise there was a heritage site next to the Tesco Express. Taj Mahal, idiocy is not a permanent state. The pendulum of the mind swings between sense and nonsense and wrong and right. Said Carl Jung. Well, there you go. If Carl Jung said it, how could I possibly disagree? Carl Jung being one of the fathers of modern psychology. Okay, so that's it. That about wraps it up. That about wraps it up for me. I'm going to head over now to the Discord server to continue the conversation with anyone who's lovely enough to want to join me over on Discord. And please do. I'm just going to bring up a link. Are there any trolls here today? You're not invited. And we will block you if you go over there. I'm opening it up in my browser because I've always had problems with the app. It keeps crashing on me. Technology, but I will sort this out eventually. I'm seriously thinking of wiping my laptop and starting again. Get all my info off, all my docs, all my downloads, everything. Get them all off onto a hard drive and then just wiping it and reinstalling Windows, starting from scratch. But it's really annoying when you do that. You forget things like your fonts. And you're like, and you start again. You've lost all your fonts that you spent years building up your font cache, your font bank, or whatever you want to call it. And you're like, I've got no fonts left. But yeah, so long as you remember to save your fonts. But I might do that full reinstall of Windows. I think I'm just going to have to do it. Is Windows 11 not out yet? I mean, it seems like we've been using Windows 10 for the last 15 years. Are we going to get a new one anytime soon? It's a bit better. Okay, so heading over. Have a fantastic weekend, Graham. Have a fantastic weekend, everyone. So I will be back tomorrow. It's unusual, I know. I'm going to be back on Saturday night here in Liverpool, and I will be talking live with Marcus, who hopefully will be appearing in the video with me, next to me. So if you'd like to join us for that, I realise there's a little bit of the green screen showing. Yeah, I just noticed that. Maybe if I turn this around, that might help. No, that's not helping at all, Graham. Oh, it is a little bit. It is a little bit. There you go. Oh, look at that. Got rid of it by moving a light. Okay, so yes, 10 o'clock tomorrow. The first episode of Ginger Island Live. This is the preamble. This is the prelude. We've got 4 weeks before we head over there. It's September the 10th. We're going to be over there. So it's just over 4 weeks. We're going to be going to Panama. Actually, no, it's 5 weeks. 5 weeks today. 5 weeks today. We're going to be going to Panama. So we want your help. We want you to give us advice. We want you to get as involved as humanly possible. It's going to be set up, so we are going to be asking for super chats and donations, Patreon stuff, and all that. Buy me a coffee in order to get the island up and running. But look, if you're not feeling flush, make sure that you get in from the get-go, because you will get VIP access to everything that we do, and you won't have to pay for it because you've already supported both me and Marcus through the difficult times. So we want you there at the table at the good times. Okay, if it works, I'm not guaranteeing it's going to work, but I'm really hoping it's going to work. So, yeah, if you want to join us over on the Discord server, we will be talking maybe a little bit about that. But, anything you want to talk about, really. But, yeah, tomorrow night at 10 o'clock British summertime is the time that you want. This link will self-destruct after 6 hours. I'll have you know. So, quiz before rather than after the Ginger stream. Yeah, that might be an idea, Pineapple Boy, because we might end up talking into the night. Pineapple Boy had a quiz lined up last night for after the show, but the show went on so long because I did the sort of fun facts, and I did the history of the place, and I showed a bit of my footage, but also I had a conversation with a family friend who moved over to Canada in the early 80s from Liverpool. I was just having a jangle about Canada, and that went on till midnight. By which point, Pineapple Boy was like, I'm a bit tired, I think I want to go to bed. And there was a bit of me that just went, thank you, Pineapple Boy, because I just wanted to go to bed at that point as well. So, yeah, we'll try and do that. Charlie, stop calling me. Okay, I'm live. I'm going live. Stop calling me when I'm live. It's very rude. Tim Ballum says, don't wipe it. Get a new SSD and install on that. That's a bloody good idea, Tim. I'm going to steal that. I'm just literally going to copy that and put it onto a little document here, so I remember what you said. I love it when people come up with good ideas. By the way, if you want to drop a super chat in today, you've got about 30 seconds left. So before to buy me a drink for the weekend, if that's what you wish to do, please feel free. Actually, it'll probably be a donation towards the. Do you know what? I just tried to copy what you said, and it's just come up when I copy and paste it. It's Tim Ballon. New SSD hard drive. Okay, yeah. New SSD HD drive. Right. Made a note. I've made a note, Tim. Thank you. Light in peace, everyone. No, Graham, you didn't turn up till 5:30. Well, yeah, that's true. I was faffing around for ages. Well, I'm in a new studio, so trying to get all the technical stuff working and the internet and things went wrong. But I did get there in the end. I'm very sorry. Bookman Old Style is my favourite font. We'll go down the favourite font route on another channel, on another episode, I think. Hang on, that's right up there with Emma Thompson flying 30k miles on a jet to attend environmental protests in London a few years ago. What the F? If that's not a narcissist, I don't know what is. Yeah, I mean, this is why I've got so much respect for Greta Thunberg, because she doesn't just talk the talk, she sails the sail. She sailed in winter back across the Atlantic. And as someone who has sailed in the Caribbean, I've sailed in the Atlantic, I have sailed in the Indian Ocean, and I've sailed in the Pacific, I've got to say 100% Hats off to that woman, because she is phenomenal for doing that. She had no sailing experience. And do you know what? Even if she was just a passenger and she didn't actually do anything with the sail or fix anything or do the rigging, they have rigging on modern ships, but whatever. The fact is that she did that. That is not an easy journey. When people look at me and go, "Oh, but Graham, you slept on the floor of buses," I'm like, yeah, that was a lot easier than spending 7 days on a sailing boat, bobbing up and down in the ocean, no shelter, no way to get out the sun. You know, I'm turning into a freaking lobster because I'm ginger, in a straight up fight between me and the sun. Obviously, the sun is going to kick my ass. And you know, they were the difficult journeys. And she did it. She did it. And she was only like 16 years old at the time. Amazing. So yeah, I get that we have a problem because Emma Thompson, for instance, she flies over to attend an event. Sorry, this is actually the sunshine because it was raining when I started. Now the sunshine's coming out. That green hue there it's not green enough to get picked up by the green screen. And without blocking out the window, there's not much I can do about it. But I'm going now anyway. But yeah, I get the argument of hypocrisy at this point for someone doing that. And I wish that she had made the effort to sail over. It's difficult, I know, and time consuming, but it would have been a great statement for her to make. Unfortunately, she chose to attend this rally. And as a result, people had an excuse to criticize her. On the other hand, though, it's not like people don't still criticize Greta Thunberg. Do you know what I mean? So you really can't win. If she flew, she'd get shit. To be honest with you, if she took a boat, she'd probably get shit as well. Excellent. There's a super chat coming your way tomorrow, says Kevin Hegarty. Excellent. Thank you very much. Zio087, they used her image in the opening of Black Widow. I always feel weird when movie uses real news clips. Yes, I noticed that. Why? I didn't really get why they used Black Widow. I don't know. They were trying to show that it was before the click or something. I don't know. I spend the week in a fishing boat in the North Sea. Indeed. Do you know what I sort of have a little bit of an issue with when they make up countries in films? And I know why they do it, because they don't want to upset the people who live in the actual real country. But when it gets mentioned again and again and again, like the what are they called? It's not the Slovakia Accord. It's obviously Slovakia, isn't it? But it's the Secondia or something like that Accords in the Marvel movies, and then they go to Wakanda, and then you'd have somewhere in South America called, I don't know, the Occidental Republic. It doesn't exist. It's not a real thing. It's just a made-up country. I don't know. I think they should use real countries. But then, if you do that, you run a risk of what happened to the guys who made... what's it called? I've gone really dark now. This is because the lighting conditions have changed. The guys who made District 9, where they had the Nigerian, the people who ate the aliens were Nigerians, and the Nigerians really didn't like that. I remember, I think I was in Nigeria at the time when the movie came out, or it was about to come out or something. The Nigerians were really upset about it. So I guess right, the Sokovia. Thank you, Zio. Okay, right. I'm going to head over to the Discord server. Please, if you're not going over there, please join us tomorrow night, 10 o'clock for the first inaugural discussion of Ginger Island, leading up to the big event when we're heading over there, which will be in 5 weeks' time, 5 weeks today. The countdown is on. So until then, thanks for watching. Thanks for the super chats. Thanks for my patrons. I'm going to give you a list of them now. Thanks to my YouTube members, and I will see you next time. Until then, hello, good evening, welcome, and goodbye.